I'm the director of the Office of Reentry Services, and welcome everyone to our 10-year anniversary celebration. We are so happy to have this time to come together to reflect this journey that many of you have been part of since the beginning. Together, we have this safety net of resources that has helped clients get jobs, reunite with their families, clear their criminal records, go to college, and start on new paths towards their dreams. Earlier, you heard the sounds of Jaime Martinez, the JZM Entertainment. And then we have a booth from Edith Martinez, so anytime you want to take some photos in our booth, please do so. And then later in the evening, we are so happy to welcome Retro Chick. It's a local San Jose band which plays old rock and blues. And band member Pauline Casper works for the county's behavioral health services in the SUTS division. So as we begin the program, we want to have you enjoy a dinner. If you haven't got your dinner, it's at the table to your left. But we want to first present you a Reentry Center client success video.
It's been quite a journey. It's been quite a journey. I have over 26 years of incarceration in the state of California prison system. And I came from a very destructive background, very, very destructive background. I came off of a life sentence in 2004, did really well in the community, went back to college, graduated college, became a drug alcohol counselor, and became a mental health specialist. And then, about 10 years later, I relapsed. And my relapse sent me back to prison.
I was bullied a lot in school, though. And, you know, I had a lot of mental health issues. I ended up attempting suicide numerous times. It was a tough journey that led me into being in a group home and foster home. From that point on, my life continued to spiral with pills and alcohol. About the age of, when I turned 18, I started getting arrested. I started getting in trouble. Mainly like driving unsuspended licenses, things like that, but this just got worse and worse. You know, it seems like once you're incarcerated, you keep getting incarcerated.
I was incarcerated under the 3 strikes law in 1995. Spent almost 19 years in prison. And after the voters of California decided they wanted to fix the 3 strikes law, which they did, I was brought back to Santa Clara County, resentenced, and after 5 hours in court, I was released.
I come from a pretty good family. My father's hardworking, and I just kind of led into making decisions. I started hanging around with people and became a product of my environment, and just started making some poor decisions. And with those decisions, it landed me, with struggling with addiction, alcoholism. Eventually put me into, county jail, led me to prison, back in county jail numerous times, and potentially just being out there in the streets, not because I had to, because I chose to.
For me to be back in that system, be back incarcerated after helping so many people was very challenging. Substance abuse counseling, I got a sales case. Don't make no sense, but that's what addiction does. It make you do things that don't make no sense.
Drug addiction and incarceration cost me a lot. I lost everything I owned, more times than I can remember. Growing up, I never imagined that when you're playing with dolls and things like that, things that kids do, you never imagine, like, I'm gonna grow up to be a drug addict. I'm gonna grow up to go to jail. I'm gonna grow up and you never think about those things, and you never think it's gonna happen to you.
About a week after I was released, my sister had a family get-together down in San Fernando Valley. And for the very first time, I had met my grandchildren. And my daughters told me, look, I see that the kids are taking a liking to you really well. I go, I love them. And they told me, look, we just want to put it out there that if you plan to go back to your old lifestyle, David, then please do not come around the kids.
It wasn't until about 2013 that I got arrested, and then basically went to court, took a Prop 36 program, came out, they released me, I got out, and then, returned back to use, started using again, went back to jail, got a visit from my wife in jail, and decided, that for her and the kids and, for me to get better, I'm gonna try the program. And so I went to the program, and what changed my life around is that 2 days after I got to the program, the place where my family was living caught on fire, and my 7-year-old daughter was killed in the fire. I, told my daughters that, I would, make a change, and before I could actually show my daughter that, I could do it, she passed away.
In 2015, when I got released, that was probably about my 5th time being released from prison. And that was the first time, though, that I was released feeling that I had support. It was the first time I felt like I can go somewhere for some help.
I first found out about the Reentry Center like 3 years ago. I had no idea that they were around for 10 years. I happened to be, I had my moments of wanting to do good and wanting to do better. And I was in an in-custody program with a teacher named Ray Renner. And Ray constantly drilled in our heads, go to the Reentry Center, go to the Reentry Center. And so one day I said, okay, well, where's this Reentry Center at? He said, 151 West Mission. From that day forward, I never looked back. Immediately the next day, I went to the Reentry Center, and I was met with open arms. They really helped me a lot in my journey. I was just ushered through the Reentry Center, talking from person to person about tattoo removal, about expungement, about substance abuse treatment, about mental health, just you name it. It was a one-stop shop.
I wasn't going to go back to the addiction that I had known so well, which was alcohol. And I just surrendered. I was constantly coming to the Reentry Center for numerous information, help. The staff was just wonderful. And their resources just helped me so much get me back on my feet.
I talk about the Reentry Center all the time, and like I said, the people here are truly genuine. I've built really good relationships here with people. I could probably consider calling them friends, and they know, and I could depend on them, and they know they could depend on me.
My advice to current reentry clients would be willing to accept help. Be willing to let people help you. And it's okay not to know. It's totally okay.
And I was pretty bad, and I was pretty, it was pretty devastating, the mess that I created in my life. And I just want people to know that you can make a difference. You can come out of that. You just have to have a desire to want better, and you have to surround yourself with people that are going to be supportive.
There is hope, and there is a point in everybody's life that they come to where they just want to give up. And if you can just cross over that bridge of not giving up, you can really change your life.
Know that you are worth another opportunity to live a good life. Don't give up. Don't cut yourself short and give up on yourself. And you're going to go through some hard stuff. Life is going to show up, and just know that at the end of the day, things do get better.
It's been 10 years since this reentry center's been going full force. And I'm very thankful for this reentry center. One is for 2 reasons. One reason is it was supportive for me. It was very supportive for me. And the second reason, it gave me employment, and it allowed me to do what I love to do, and was to give back and to help. One of the greatest things that I do believe is people with lived experience can make a big difference in our community today. The Reentry Center also allows that to happen with all the different programs. If we can just get people in the doors to interviews, if we can get people who are struggling with mental health issues, who are struggling in our culture because of just trauma, and quit criminalizing them, putting this label on them, I think we can make a difference. I really think it'll make a big difference. Oh, y'all can give yourself a better hand than that, can't you? Give yourself a better hand than that, all right? Amen. Well, my name is Alex Senegal, and I'm here this evening. Dang. I'm here this evening to say thank you. I want to say thank you to each one of you out there. Each person that invested and believed in this reentry center, each person that came to this reentry center for one reason or another, I want to say thank you. I want to talk about the impact of a peer mentor, peer mentoring. And the reason I'm saying thank you, because without you knowing that you were my peer mentor, I wouldn't be standing here had it not been for each one of you that I've seen, I watched, and I learned from. I learned how to be a professional from those who are professional. I learned how to have a heart of compassion to those who are helping those who are broken, who were in need, who were struggling, who were lost. I learned how to give of myself by watching others, by watching one, two, three, four of you, maybe all of you. I watched how to be patient with people who were challenging. I also watched and learned how to give of myself to the one that nobody wanted to be bothered with. Because somebody believed in me, taught me how to believe in others. And so I go through life today doing just that. The reentry is a place, I call it an oasis. It's a place of help. It's a place of hope. Each one of you were my hope at one time. I had hope that I can live without breaking the law. I had hopes that I can live without falling into an addiction. I had hopes that I can live and be productive. And as I watched people how they did it, I started to learn how. And today I live that life. Today I'm able to give that hope back to others. I recently stopped being the program director for Destiny Reentry, which is one of the 4 faith-based churches, reentry churches here in Santa Clara County. And I work for the Enneagram Prison Project developing a reentry center now, a reentry program. But along the way, I started out being a peer mentor. And I started from a peer mentor, volunteering and just giving them my time. Because of my lived experience, I knew what individuals needed when they were released from incarceration. I knew what an individual needed being wrapped up in gang mentality. I was a gang member since I was 12 years old. I knew the fears without them telling me they had fears. I knew the lack of life skills without even them telling me that. Why? Because that was me. And I gave back what I wish people would have gave me. And then I gave back what I found here at the reentry center that people did give me. It wasn't until I had that support on my last term, and that was my last term, then that support gave me the belief in myself that I could do this. I celebrated 9 years clean and sober on the 23rd. and also celebrated 7 years incarceration free. None of this I wouldn't have been able to do without the support of this reentry center. The love and the compassion, the way that people go and help meet the needs of individuals who are so broken. We see them, we deal with them, we interact with them. And then want to let you know that you are their hope. Each person sitting here today right now was my hope. And we are someone else's hope each and every day. You know, as people see us, they're hoping. They're hoping that we reach out to help them. They're hoping that their life can turn around. People are learning from us that we have no idea who are watching us. But if we stay mindful how much of a difference we're making here in somebody's life, somebody that's so lost and so hurt and so broken, that you are their answer, you are their hope. And I want to encourage you, as much as we've grown in these 10 years, there's still so much more. So much more. And we are the answer to that so much more, because we are somebody else's hope. I want to thank y'all once again for being my hope.
Thank you, Alex. And at this time, I want to invite all the clients and all of our partners that were profiled in the video. I think I see Jennifer here. Will? Yep. Dave Gomez? No, I didn't see Dave here. Oh, Jennifer. And then I want to invite Feng Li and Rick Santos, the people behind the video, to come up and join me on the stage. Where is it? The power of storytelling, doing the storytelling is so powerful for the message that we want to convey all of our partners, and just so people know that we cannot do it without them. And it's just so inspiring to have this video that we could share with all of our partners, to know and bear witness to the successes of just the attribution, the successes that they've done, but also for our staff. So I want to applaud and thank you guys. Our new slogan is the Reentry Resource Center, where opportunities change lives. Reflects the fact that this work we all do has changed many clients' lives. But the center has also changed all of us who collaborate in this work. You can't be part of the healing, of helping someone else heal from trauma and build their lives back without being affected by that yourself. So at this time, I would like to invite State Senator Dave Cortezzi. Senator Dave Cortezzi was elected in November of 2020 to represent State Senate District 15, which encompasses much of Santa Clara County in the heart of Silicon Valley. Along with his accomplished career as an attorney, a business owner, the senator previously served on the County Board of Supervisors for over a decade and 4 years as the board president. And he was part of also creating the Reentry Resource Center and infusing the funding and the services that we provide here at the Reentry Center. As a California State Senator, Dave Cortezzi intends to continue and expand on the successful work he has done in Santa Clara County and apply as many solutions as possible statewide. That includes addressing climate change, increasing California's housing stock, shifting the focus of our justice system from incarceration to rehabilitation, and fighting sexual assault and gender-based violence. Please welcome Senator Dave Cortezzi.
Thank you, Javier. Thank you so much for allowing me a few minutes to be here. And I want to explain why I'm here. And really, that's all I'm going to say before I make a presentation. I'm not here for any kind of political appearance or anything like that. You know, 10 years ago, I was on the Board of Supervisors. I had been on the Board of Supervisors for just under 4 years when this place opened up. And to be honest, there was a predecessor of mine, or a colleague of mine on the Board of Supervisors. For those of you who aren't aware, there's 5 members of the Board of Supervisors. The offices are right there in that rusty building, and that's where the meetings are every week that decide what's going to happen in terms of budget and funding, and whether there's going to be things like a reentry center. And one of the other supervisors had really taken the lead, and he left office, and there was an opportunity for me to get more involved. And so that was the beginning for me. I came back for one of the first ceremonies, and to my inspiration and frankly amazement, I shouldn't have been so amazed, but to my amazement, there were folks who had stories like we heard today, who had been in state prison for 25 years, in one particular case, who were basically graduating from the program. One of those individuals I've kept in contact with to this day, who now runs a group home, for a sober living environment home, for folks coming out of reentry centers over in the Tracy area. That is a product of this program. That individual did not relapse. We always, any of us with lived experience, knock on wood when we say that, but it has not, fortunately, gone back to prison, but is now helping others. That became another level of major inspiration for me. Through those years, through the time when I left to go to the state senate, which was just a year ago, I had opportunities to come back and forth for many ceremonies and many other interactions. But the best of those, and not many people know this, were the group meetings on recovery, the recovery group meetings, small group meetings that I used to join here once a week, marked on my calendar, where I would come over and sit down with the group, not always the same group. And of course, anybody who's ever done that knows that until you tell your story, nobody else is going to speak up. Who's this new guy in the room? Who's this guy wearing a suit in the room? Who's this guy wearing a suit that came from that building over there? And I'll tell you, I was looking at this mural when I was sitting down. Empathy and patience. I would always leave the building after sitting down with a small group, go back to my job over there in the county administration building with a lot more empathy and patience, at least for the next 24 hours. And that's why I'm back here today, because I have that kind of connection. Personally, I have that kind of connection with the program. The last thing I want to say about all of that is, now I'm in the state senate, so what am I doing for you lately, right? I just came down from Sacramento today. I happen to be on the budget committee. The budget committee for the state senate is divided into 5 subcommittees. So there's just a few of us on each subcommittee, a few senators on each subcommittee. I'm on the subcommittee that deals with prisons. And today I had the opportunity to support an additional initiative in the budget that's expanding, dramatically expanding the investment in housing for reentry programs, and for all the folks that we know show up, get all the resources and all the opportunity we just heard about, but sometimes those housing vouchers aren't around long enough. Sometimes, especially in a place like this with the cost of living, it's tough to do all that and take all those steps and then and have a good job and then not be able to have a place to live, to be living in a van or something like that, while otherwise you've done everything right. And so I just want you to know, as recently as 1 o'clock this afternoon, before I came back down to San Jose, I pushed CDCR and those folks to expand the investment in housing that's being put into counties one after another into Santa Clara County, and they indicated that they're going to give me a call, and we're going to start working on that. So I want you to know I'm still on it, okay? I'm still on it, and you know, again, somebody said on the video there, you know, it's good to know that there's people with lived experience who are in positions to help. The best of those are right here, but there's a couple people in the state capitol in Sacramento that have some lived experience that are there to help too, and you know, I'll always be one of them as long as I'm an elected official. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to ask Peter, thank you so much for listening to me. I'm going to ask Peter from my staff to give me this resolution to pass over to Javier. This is an official.
To play pool for money at a very young age before I can even get onto the pool table. So I practiced 7 days a week when I was a kid, as well as my brother and my sister. We had the party house. A lot of bikers would come over, and we had a full bar in the house, and I was able to mix drinks at a very young age for adults. But something happened to my father. He saw that his life and his family wasn't gonna fare very well. He went to church one day as a direct invitation of one of my uncles who was a prior heroin addict, and my dad went to church and something hit him, and he became Christian that fast, and I never again another party at my house, no more bikers. It was done. He required us to go to church once a week. I didn't want to go, but he required to go once a week. Throughout high school, I was still fighting and kind of drinking heavily. But when I turned 18, something hit me. And it overwhelming a feeling of I just want to change, of repentance. I became Christian. That changed my life. My faith gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a sense of direction and to live for something bigger than just yourself. And that's what it gave me. I ended up going to college in Louisiana. And at that point, my associations changed. My environment changed. My life changed because my heart was changed. Eventually, I came back several years later after college and began working. I had 2 jobs. I began to focus on things where I couldn't hardly focus before. My energy level, as you may not see it right now, it could be a little bit overwhelming for people. This is how I am now. Can you imagine me at 8 years old, 12 years old? I just wanted to fight anybody. I wind me up, put me in, and that was me. However, I was the youngest in my family. In the entire family, there was nobody younger than me, so they called me the baby of the family. So everybody seemed to be better than me in everything because they were older. And even my sister was better than me. And so everybody played baseball, a lot of my cousins, my brother, my sister. And they wanted me to play, and I didn't want to play. Finally, my mom tells me, hey, if you play, I'll be your coach. My mom knows nothing about baseball, but she loved her son. And the only female coach in the entire league was my mom, who knew nothing about baseball. And I played, and I even made the all-star team, and I'm guessing that was because of my mama. So I played 1 year. However, my cousins played for years after that, and they called me the quitter. They said, here comes the quitter, because I only played 1 year. Words are very powerful, and that stuck with me, And I'm like, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like I kind of didn't, like, I'm the quitter, so it is what it is, and I didn't worry about anything. That's how I started getting in trouble. However, eventually, when my faith came to me, and I came into my faith, that gave me that bigger purpose. And then now, the least athletic in my family, I have run, I'm not sure how many marathons I've run. I just say between 50 and 100 marathons that I've run. I don't know how many I don't know how many half marathons I've done, but I've done a lot. And now I try to give back with a wonderful, wonderful program and with wonderful coaches, a wonderful team called Too Legit Fitness. And Becky's here today, represented as well. It's a wonderful, and it's like mentoring each other. This is the peer mentoring. It means everything. Associations on purpose, intentionality. If you have intentionality, things can change in your life. But if you just end up where you end up, it's like with no plan. It's like what the old saying says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You got to be intentional about life, intentional about your health, intentional about your mindset, intentional about everything in your life. Your future should be by intention, and that can change your life. So I came back. I'm working now. I'm working 2 jobs back in 1990, 91, 92. I see an ad in the paper for the corrections department. In 1990, I was a little scared because of my juvenile record. However, I knew I was on the level. I was living with integrity, doing my best. And by that time, I was married. I just got married, and things were going well. It took me 2 years to get the job because the county of Santa Clara had a hiring freeze. So I stuck with it, though. I stuck with it. I'm going to get that job on, and that's when I began running to get ready for the academy in 1990. 1992, they called me, hey, we're ready, come back. Got the job, went through the academy. I was very thankful. I'm working here, and before that job, I just want to say, I was working electronics, and I was working at Levitt's. You'll love it at Levitt's. That's where I was working. That's where I was working. That was my second job. And in between those 2 jobs, I began running because I had an hour and a half to kill and get ready for the academy. So I'm working here. It's going great. I'm just like so thankful to be here. It was a dream job for me. And life was fantastic. And that's you see the running and everything I do, but it was fantastic. However, just because you're like doing the right thing doesn't mean that the right things, challenges won't come your way. Challenges come your way. So about 1993, 94, I had just started maybe a couple years on. I'm working nights, graveyard. All the new people started graveyard. Well, my wife was kind of changing behaviors, and I was like, hey, what's going on? Oh, I'm staying with my cousins and this and that. Well, she began to get into drugs. And I'm like, and then I'm not able to contact her anymore. I'm like, where have you been? Oh, my cousins, I'm here, everything's fine. But I knew everything wasn't fine. And I just want to read you an excerpt from my book and how resiliency, redemption, and tenacity can really, really change your life if you incorporate those behaviors in your life. So 1993, 94, I'm working, and one day I get a call from the booking department and saying my wife was in custody. I'm working there, right there at that building on the 5th floor. Your wife's in custody. They told me the name. Yeah, it's my wife. That okay. I was like shocked, traumatized. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. So eventually she continued her behavior to protect my kids and also my family. I had to, of course, separate from her and her behavior. And I said, what do you want me to do? I'll pay for a program. There was no reentry at the time. I didn't know how to help her because I had never experienced this in my life. It was the first time. I've seen people in there, but not in that personal time, not in the personal, at the personal level. No, I'm good. She calls me crying. 93, about 94, about a year after that, she calls me crying. Hey, I don't want to come home. I'm working there, but I have nowhere to go. Can you give me a hotel room? And I said, no, I don't have any money, which I didn't. She goes, well, can you give me your credit card? I'm like, that's not going to happen, right? I'm not giving my credit card up. I said, no, I can't do that. She said, well, I have nowhere to go. Can I sleep in your car? Here, in this parking lot. And I'm like, okay. And it was cold, so I brought out a jail blanket. And she slept in my car. 6 o'clock in the morning, I get off. She's still there. I was like, oh, I hope she's still there, because I thought maybe she wants help. Well, she wouldn't receive any help. So she said, take me to a Denny's. The Denny's on First Street, about 1.5 miles away from here. She said, just take me down there and drop me off. So I pleaded with her, hey, what do you need? Any kind of help, I'm there for you. What can we do? And she wouldn't accept any help, and I was so confused and so heartbroken that she wouldn't receive any help. And my kids were, hey, where's mom? That was like, there was no easy answer. Punch in the gut every time they'd ask me. So as we drove to the restaurant, and I just kept on pleading, and she says, just drop me off. So I dropped her off, and I drove away. And I see her in my rearview mirror, cold, just kind of shaking there. My heart wanted to turn around, but I knew she would not get in my car. So I continued driving away. And I look back, and I think, if there was a reentry program then, before she got so deep in her addiction, I think there was a good chance it could have helped her. But there was no help at that time. So I'm so thankful for the reentry. My cousins, my own family have come through here. I've had several cousins come here while I'm working, and they've come here for help. And so on a personal level, I'm so thankful for the program and everything. It's a beacon of light for people that need help. And with all of us in the collaboration, that there is no stopping the potential of curtailing people incarcerated for life. I had an uncle who was incarcerated most of his life. He died in prison after just shy of 30 years, a few years ago. And that was my dad's youngest brother. I've had other uncles. I went to weddings in prison to see my uncles get married, other uncles. And so I have a very personal, even though I've worked here for 30 years with the Sheriff's Department, I have a personal level with the criminal justice system, my own family. And my own wife, who at the time ended up subsequently doing two prison terms after that. And so it does affect me to this day, and I'm so thankful, and for every one of you that are here supporting this program and work so hard and diligently throughout the county, just like the ripple effect. Things can change when we start changing how we do things, business, like the same old way we did before. Things have to change. Things began to change. Things are changing. We have all these testimonies throughout here, and they were here earlier today, and they continue. Over 20,000 people, I think, have come through these doors in the last 10 years. So I want to thank all of you. Give a hand to all of you. With that said, I ended up getting promoted a couple times and retiring last year after just shy of 30 years with the Sheriff's Department, and I was the day shift watch commander over at the Elmwood facility. Before I retired, I thought to myself, I have to give back. And I've always been involved with certain things. There's a Latino Role Model Conference I've done for many years. I used to work on a city commission for many years. I've just wanted to keep in there to try to help people. And even with the Sheriff's Department, I'm a paid servant of the county, and that's the way I saw it, and that's the way I was, and that's the way I am, and that's what I believe. And so before I retired, I said, how can I do more? How can I do more? July 23rd last year was my last official day of working for the Sheriff's Department, but I look at that as not an end date. That was a beginning date for me and what I needed to do. The 30 years, almost 30 years I was here just prepared me for the life I need to live with my ordination. And I dabbled in different things like how can I give back? So I love reading books. I love reading books. I can't not, books to me are everything. Of course, the Bible, of course, but then other books, just personal development. What can I do now? And the ceilings are man-made. Since they're man-made, they can be broken by man. And once a young person believes that they can do it, there are no limits, but they have to believe. And when you have the peer mentors and role models that they have done some things and they see, they look like me, they've been through some things, maybe I can do it too. and they begin to believe that they can do it with small, measurable goals, not overwhelming, but attainable goals for them, can keep them engaged and can get them to a place that they never dreamed, but only in the dreams. But they probably would think it's for someone else, but it's for them. But it starts with a belief. And I want to tell you, even with the staff and how I told you about my family, that my family comes here. And a great way to wake up in the morning. I love waking up in the morning. I read every morning. I run just about every day. I love running, the exercise program. If you're not feeling your best, you could never give your best. It starts in, if you got a migraine headache or a bad stomach ache, you don't want to do anything. So you want to do your best to feel your best, that you can give your best. And when your cup is overflowing with love and of positivity and optimism, there is no stopping what we can. This wave that has started 10 years ago is only the beginning of what's going to happen in this community, thanks to every one of you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm humbled and I'm honored to stand before you. And Javier, I've run with him before, by the way. He's very fast, and don't let him fool you. And let's just keep this thing going for the next 10 and 20 years. Thank you so much, guys. And by the way, my book will be out the end of next month. It's called Live Life on Purpose, guys. God bless. God bless.
I did pace with him for the Santa Cruz half marathon, and I had to keep up with him. So he is a fast runner. Appreciate it, Adam. Just like Adam mentioned and others have, it takes a collaborative approach to serve our clients. And it is my honor to now introduce our Superior Court Judge, Stephen Manley, to the stage. Judge Manley embodies the maxim that more you could do, the more you can do. For 30 years plus, Judge Manley locally and nationally has championed the development of special court programs aimed at getting offenders with mental illness, substance use disorders, or both into treatment and out of jail. Today, Judge Manley presides over many drug and mental health cases in this county, supervising thousands of offenders who participate in treatment and rehabilitation while on probation or parole. He has a homeless court that goes into the community. He presides at a community outreach court here at the Reentry Center once a month. Because Judge Manley favors a triage and urgent care model, his courtroom is often a noisy hive of activity. But he also pushes the county to do more for our clients. And he was instrumental in getting the Sobering Center, which is now the Missions to Recover, here at the Reentry Center. So please help me welcome Judge Manley.
Thank you very much, Javier, for those kind words. It is a wonderful opportunity for me to be here tonight and to share with you just a few remarks about how important this reentry center is. And I will tell you, when I walked in this evening, or late afternoon, I was greeted by two individuals who have been in my court, one in the outreach court and one in my regular court, who are success stories. And I can tell you there is nothing that is more meaningful to a judge than to actually see the people who are in his or her courtroom make these miraculous changes. And what it takes is really the courage of the court and the judge to be extremely patient with people, to give second, third, fourth, and fifth chances. As Adam spoke of his wife, I was thinking of how many times I am told those stories and how many times I'm told, please leave me alone, don't push me, don't ask me to do treatment. Today, one person asked me to please send him to prison. And I had to, in a sense, argue with him that prison isn't good for you. you are mentally ill and you need to be in treatment, so please, will you stay in treatment? So, if you follow what I am saying, the roles switch when a judge takes the opportunity to nudge people along to changing their lives. And most importantly, never accepting responsibility for that change, because the change is really by the individual. It really is. How many thousands of people I have seen over these many years go into treatment, go out of treatment, go to prison, get out of prison, ask me to lock them up, ask me to let them out. And in the end, it comes down to basically what that person is really willing to do. Are they willing to believe in themselves? And that's the wonderful thing to me about the Reentry Center. Because one of the great frustrations that I've always had, and I know many judges do, is where do you send someone? Well, you know, we're very good at this. We give orders, and you know, I've been doing it for years. You go out the door, I want you to see your probation officer. After you do that, you just start your volunteer work, and after that, you to go to your drug program, and after that, your mental health program. And people look at me and this glaze comes across their eyes. They don't understand what in God's name I'm talking about. Why? Because they're terrified of being in front of a judge. They're afraid I'm going to throw them in jail. And they know they're going to screw up. And so what we tried to do is to change this system in the courts to where we are believing in people, giving them the opportunity to make their own change, because there's nothing that I or any judge can order that is really going to change someone's life. It comes from within. And I have learned so much from watching the people who come before me. But you know, again and again it occurred to me over those years that, you know, where exactly are we telling people to go? So I started to go out and see where I say, go to the probation department. Well, people tell me they can't get there. You know, I mean, it's confusing. So one day I walked from my courthouse in downtown San Jose all the way out to Charcot so that I could tell people, you know, well, you can walk there if you want to, if you really care. And at that point I said, now that should motivate people, right? The judge walked there, you can walk there. That didn't motivate anybody at all. Made no difference. And then along comes the idea, you know, why don't we stop sending people to all these places? You know, you walk there, okay, well, they get the light rail, and then you get the light rail ticket, so that didn't work out too well. And then you're supposed to go out to East San Jose to some program, and then you're supposed to go somewhere else, and you get frustrated. And so I said, look, let's join in this effort that you're seeing tonight, this great reentry center. You know, this to me is a dream come true. As Adam said, you know, there's so many people whose lives could have been changed if this had existed. Now it does. And it's incredible to me to see how effective it is. And I will tell you how I know that. 5 years ago, I would say to people, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, here's what I want you to do. Go down to the reentry center. They're going to help you get your ID. They're going to give you some advice about how to get a job. They're going to help you prepare a resume. What do you want to do? What's your dream? Well, why don't you go down there? You can get education. You can go to groups. Okay, great, Judge. And then when you come back next time, you tell me all about it and what a wonderful time you had there and how well you did. And so then a month later, they'd come back and I'd say, well, how did you like the reentry center? Why did you get, what are you into? And they say, what? They never heard of it. You see, people really don't understand this until they experience. But what I have noted in the recent past, the last few years, is the incredible change that's taken place. Now when I say go to the reentry center, people aren't afraid to do it. You know, as I once pointed out, the one change I would make here, if I could ever make a change, is to get rid of that iron fence, because it frightens people, believe it or not, just as the courtroom does. But that's not going to change. I realize that. What I do know is that when we can get people to come down here, and we're getting more effective at doing that, they come back and tell me about their successes. And we celebrate this. Oh, well, call Gateway, dial the 1-800 number and get into treatment. Well, they're never going to get, they don't even have a phone. Well, how do you get a cell phone? I say, go down to the reentry center. Look around, check it out, see what's there. And then slowly but surely you see people accept this and to see the change. So we came to a point. For many years, I believed in the court being out in the community and not always being in a courthouse, which is so frightening and traumatic, I think, to people. And we started an outreach court. And my colleagues, the other judges, we all meet, and I said, you know, I think we ought to do this at the reentry center. And they all looked at me and they said, why would you do it there? And I said, because that's a place where people can come to get hope, and we can give them hope. And over these years that I've been coming down here and doing reentry court every month, the hundreds of thousands of dollars of fines and fees that I've been able to delete because people have done public service work in their church or their school or somewhere else has made a real difference to them. I can see it in their faces. You know, the fact that I sit right across from them and I don't hold them accountable because of their past behavior or even their new behavior that is not exactly perfect, but it's improving. To see the change that takes place is absolutely amazing. I wish all judges could see that and understand that, because this center has made a real difference in the lives of thousands and thousands of people. And today, it is very acceptable in our court to send people here. Before, judges were leery. They were worried about, well, why should I send them there? Manley, what are they going to do for me? Well, I said, wait a minute. We've never had anything like this. Now we have a triage center, so the people who are decompensating, people who have had a relapse, they could come for a timeout rather than end up in jail again. And that's really, these are the steps that make the difference. And the program is really grounded on the incredible staff, the volunteers, the peers, the faith-based, all of you who do so much to help others. I can tell you, you are making a difference that has never been there before. And I want to thank you for that. And I know I speak for every judge in my court when I say, because I know they're making the referrals now, that without this reentry center and without the simple concept of let's have one place to go where you can find out about probation, about a job, about your ID, about an outpatient program, rather than to go to 20 places and get lost and never do a thing. It changes lives every day. God bless you, and thank you for all you do.
We help clients empower themselves and in some cases even become better, become part of our staff. And our clients help our staff and partners become better people. Because of them, we are more empathetic, more resourceful, better advocates, and more grateful. A few years ago, the probation department hired their first peer mentor to work with the probation officers. And with that in mind, we've expanded community workers and peer mentors in other departments. And it now is my pleasure to have our Chief of Probation, Laura Garnett, speak. In 2014, she was appointed as our Chief of Probation. She's now currently the chair of our Community Corrections Partnership for Santa Clara County that oversees the AB 109, Public Safety Realignment and Reentry. And her department over the years strives to promote community safety by implementing proven strategies which enhance and support positive change in our clients, families, and neighborhoods. Please welcome our Chief of Probation, Laura Garnett.
Good evening. How is everybody? Great. First, I have to confess that I also attended the lunch today, not because I was trying to get 2 free meals, and I cried through most of it. I was standing next to Supervisor Ellenberg at one point and leaned over and said, "Can you believe we get paid for this?" Words can't describe the gratitude I have for those who have so bravely stood up and told their stories, and words cannot describe the awe I feel when I hear those stories. To know that our staff in the probation department often contributed to those successes makes me beam with pride. Probation officers have a challenging job. They're charged with keeping clients on track, making sure they meet deadlines, satisfying judges' demands, complete programs, show up to appointments, and complete the rehabilitation plans. And they need to do all of this while keeping clients motivated to do the work and move forward. That can't be achieved by one person, one department. It has to be achieved by all of us together. We all need somewhere we can go and feel seen, heard, and enveloped in positivity. For some people, it's a house of worship. For others, it's a local coffee shop. Others participate in senior centers or boys and girls clubs. But where do you go when you don't have those options, or when you don't feel like you have anything to offer and you are low on hope? When you're feeling lost and alone, having a place that is ready and eager to help you can mean the difference between being in your own community or going back to jail or prison. If you talk to some of the clients here today, they'll tell you that when they were in their darkest parts of their reentry journeys, the Reentry Center was and still is that somewhere that they can feel seen, heard, and enveloped in positivity. And why is that? Because the Santa Clara County Reentry Center is a one-stop shop of resources that help fill gaps when probation clients are at the greatest risk of being rearrested. When depression and hopelessness hits, there are peer mentors and behavioral health staff there to ease the way and refer them to help. There are peer support groups if they need just to unload and communicate with others who can relate to what they're going through. If you need medical attention, the medical mobile unit is there 3 days a week. Social service agency staff are on site for public benefits assistance. Office of Supporting Housing is here with shelter and housing referrals. Clients can get referrals for employment, faith-based services, or even a high school diploma at the center. Our probation officers do an amazing job of navigating, motivating, and caring about our clients. They go above and beyond and often build strong bonds with clients that continue to be in contact for years. But they need partners in this work, and the Reentry Center has proven to be a safe and welcoming support system. And we need to grow these systems of support so that clients can become empowered and recover with dignity, so that they can make their homes in our community, and so that incarceration becomes our very last resort. I want to close with a quote I thought of today while I was crying, and our amazing speakers were talking. Change is inevitable, but transformation is by conscious choice. So what an amazing event, and congratulations to everybody, especially those who have made that conscious choice. Thank you.
The Reentry Center would not be made possible in all the services with all the contributions of our departments, our community-based organizations. So at this time, we're going to be presenting our plaques to our key partners. We want to welcome back Judge Manley, representing Superior Court. David Mares from Good Samaritan Project. And I don't know if I saw Aaron O'Brien or someone from Community Solutions. No. Patricia Ramos from Health Right 360. Eugene Santillan, from the principal from Santa Clara County Office of Education. Alex Senegal, representing the Destiny Reentry Resource Center. And I don't see Angela or someone from Social Service Agency. Do we have anyone from SSA? Let's see. Mikhail Lee from the Vietnamese American Service Center. Barbara West, our nurse here for the Valley Homeless Healthcare Program. Christina Yee, the Executive Director of Breakout Prison Outreach. Yep. That's it. I think that's all we did distribute some more plaques earlier today. Oh, you want them done? Oh, we want to take a picture on the ground so we have a visual. Yeah.
You have to go back down.
So now we have to go back down, Christina.
You have to go down and around.
Yeah.
Go back down and get in front.
Yeah, we'll get in front of the stage. Took it out of order. Just as voices can tell a story, so does the power of art. And I'm so happy to invite Sam Brown, Pat Hall, and Amber Mapress to speak about this mural that we have right behind us.
I wasn't supposed to be up here this evening. Rolando Barón, who is the creator of this masterpiece back here, wanted to be here, but unfortunately could not, so he asked me to speak in his stead. And so these are his words, and I'm reading what he wrote. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to the inception of this piece. And that is Reentry, Terry Division, and all of the people who created it. This painting was an honor to produce and could not have been possible without all of you. Man is born free, and yet everywhere we see chains. Incarceration is dehumanizing, cruel, and unusual punishment. The effects of incarceration echo throughout this city and society. If incarceration is not rehabilitation, it should be deemed unconstitutional. I commend anyone who has survived it and mourn everyone who has not. My hope is that this piece serves as a reminder that it is possible to triumph against all odds, whether they are self-imposed or socially constructed. I am especially grateful for meeting the men and seeing their drafts. Their contributions were a crucial part of this project. Each one of them became a source of inspiration. These men are the mural. They are the embodiment of the concept. They have lived it, and I hope they see themselves in it. Above everything, I wanted to make sure you all got a badass piece of art that represented your strength and endurance.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I was so happy to be a part of the men's project and to coordinate the project for the men in Gilroy community and at Elmwood. We include men from all walks of life, both housed and unhoused. In 2 workshops that we held in Gilroy, there were many that the men came at the project, but in the end, it was all unified expression as to what was holding the men back, what supported them and being a good father. I was able to use my new facilitation skills to focus the men on what we were doing, collecting all the words that are displayed on this mural, and then coloring in their own individual pieces, art pieces. I got to work with each individual one-on-one. It became clear that we are all equal as human beings and as fathers. Although we might come from different walks of life, there were some very deep feelings that came out of this process. Some of the participants even wanted to find ways to help them become better fathers. I worked very hard to include the men from the unhoused community, and it was by great sadness for me that more did not choose to participate in this process. It just shows how much more work we need to do in the community to include them, to make them feel welcome in the bigger and greater part of our community. And it's called meeting people exactly where they are, where they're at, which is exactly what we try to do at CTV. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amber Mopress, and I am truly grateful to be here tonight. I didn't know what to expect walking in here, but I am extremely grateful for every entity, from the Reentry Center to Destiny, Bible Way, working with Alex, Judge Manley, a judge who, through my several years of incarceration, I used to try to get in his courtroom, but for some reason could not make it there, and by the grace of God, had an opportunity to go before him to close the chapter of my life that desperately needed to be closed to start this new one. And I'm just extremely grateful. I mean, even Probation, a department that I never thought I would stand up here and say thank you to. And also my amazing coworker, because I stand before you today. I am now a community worker at the African American Community Service Agency, and I'm doing the very thing that I love to do, which is to give back to my community, and to serve and to help those people that look like me, people that have gone through things that I have gone through, and it means so much to me. The work is so fulfilling. And I'm just grateful also to programs like Carry the Vision. I was a level 4 double red lockdown, and there was no programming back there. And I am definitely not an artist myself, but I can stand here today and tell you the importance of having programs and opportunities like that for individuals who are incarcerated. I understand that incarceration it does suck, but sometimes it takes what it takes. I knew that that's what I needed. I couldn't stop on my own, and by the grace of God, I have come across amazing individuals, and it took what it took, and my faith in God, and believing in myself, of course, but it took for people like yourselves to believe in me and to tell me that I'm worthy, to tell me that I can do it, that I can achieve the things that I desire to achieve and become the woman that I desire to become. And I'm truly grateful to stand before you today. And yeah, so that's it. But thank you all. Thank you, Carry the Vision. Thank you, everyone here today. So thank you. Oh yes, and I was part of the Women's Project. This is the project that I was a part of, and so the project, what it was about. So in Double Red, there was no programs or anything, and so the program was meditation, art therapy, and it really helped us to kind of let down our guard and to become transparent with not only others but really ourselves, and to be real and honest with ourselves. And so and we also had an opportunity to make a beautiful mural and you know, come together and do something collectively that at the end of the day is beautiful and other people can look at and appreciate as well.
So Amber mentioned about that mural. So it is in our courtyard, in our lobby inside the our new entrance, and along with that, we'll have this with it. So just to inspire all the clients that walk in, 20,000 unique clients, over 100,000 visitors over 10 years, 100,000 individuals that came into our center. At this time, we're only moments away from having our band entertain us. I want to invite all the Reentry Resource Center, current and past, to come up to the front to join me, just for a quick recognition, please. All the Reentry staff. And as the Reentry staff come up here, I want to thank our amazing planning committee, especially Lynn Madden and Fu Lee, who put our lunch together and our dinner together and did countless hours putting this together. Part of the planning committee includes Antonio Aguilar, Victor Macias, Juan Vela, James Nadal, Chad Martins, Rebecca Cardenas, Leah Dansby, Janice Gillis, Hector Datispeguero, Zulima Inia, Tina Center, Juan Guel Jr., Victor Muniz, and Lonnie Verosco. So let's have you guys come up in the front. Come on, Fu, don't be shy. And then don't forget, we have the photo booth to take some photos. So again, I'd like to thank you all for coming and celebrating with us. we'd like to thank all our former clients for sharing their very personal stories of their journeys. They inspire not only other individuals coming out of jail, but all of us. We look forward to new opportunities for working with you and continuing to strengthen our community. And with that, our event now will be some live entertainment, and please help yourself with some dessert and some at the photo booth. So thank you again.
Check, check, check.
Okay, yeah.
Check. Check.
Where's Jose? Hurry, Jose! What? Hurry!
Check on two. Check on two. Check test. Hello. 1, 2. 1, 2.
Oh, sorry? I'm so sorry.
Hello. 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 Check. Check. Check.
Okay.
Sally, don't forget. Okay, I am. You're going to email me. All right. You don't need to email me. That's all tomorrow. And then I'll remind you if you know. Okay. Look at them.
Check and two.